I'm live. I think I'm live. No, I'm testing out YouTube. YouTube live. Can you go find me on YouTube and see if I'm live? Um, turn on. Yeah, it looks good. All right, so I'm gonna start this tutorial. Actually, I'm testing out. Hi. Don't make me nervous. I'm testing out this YouTube Live. I've done a lot of Facebook Live stuff, but I'm testing this out on YouTube. So I gave myself a good reason also to do this. Although I'm testing out some equipment here, I figured, hey, why not do a tutorial, spend some time with the stream, and maybe even get an audience going. I seriously doubt. Oh, look, there's one person right there. I have no idea. Is that probably my wife? No? Okay. So what I'm going to do today here is talk a little bit about WordPress, and you may have heard of this before. And what is WordPress? It is what they call a CMS. A CMS is stands for Content Management System, and essentially it's a platform that helps people build websites without having to worry about all the coding that can come along with it. So let me shrink my big face and let's get started, shall we? So here's WordPress. This is the site that you can download. It's like an application that you have to put on a server. So you take the download from here and get it on your hard drive. This is the actual button right here, and then we move it to a hosting server. So if you don't have a hosting server, you're gonna need one. But if you want to test this at home without the use of paying somebody like GoDaddy or Bluehost or DreamHost, you have to use this application called MAMP. And MAMP stands for, I forget. I think it has to do with Apache server, PHP, MySQL. So there's an abbreviation in there somewhere. I recommend downloading this. I'm not going to go into the ins and out of how to use MAMP, but essentially it creates an environment just like a web server on your hard drive. And this is actually good if you prefer to work locally, because if you set up WordPress on a server out in the internet somewhere, you're having to do data transfers and you're having to deal with files being uploaded and downloaded, so that'll slow down your day-to-day production. So it's good to use MAMP, and you can actually build an entire website on MAMP and a WordPress site and push that later when you're ready. So you know, you may not have to shop around for a web hosting company for a while until you're ready. So you can develop locally. You can even, if you're that savvy, share MAMP. So if you have a client that's out somewhere and they want to connect to your computer to look at what you've done for them, you can absolutely do that. But that's not what I'm going to get into today. So we've got the download of WordPress right here. Let me talk to you about a couple of apps that you absolutely need to have when you're doing this kind of type of stuff. And my list here consists of, you need a HTML editor to make some changes to a couple of WordPress files, mainly one, and you're going to need an FTP, file transfer protocol, that allows you to move files from your hard drive to the web hosting server of your choice. So those are the essential ones. I'm on a Mac, and I prefer to use Terminal also as an additional perk here. It allows me to do some things that kind of save some time. So what I'm going to do right now is show you where this actually downloaded to my hard drive. And right here we have WordPress. What I'm going to do is just change the name, because it's going to be easier to type. You'll see why, to type this in later. I actually already have one here. It's right here. I was working on this tutorial, kind of practicing already, so it's there. What I'm going to do is use my HTML editor, launch that. I use Coda, and I've already set up a profile here that allows me to connect. Here are all my clients, but I have my own personal web server right here, so I'm going to go ahead and go into there and go into files. What we want to look for is on our web server is this public HTML, and today I am going to trying to figure out a domain that I'm not using at the moment. I host with GoDaddy. So, oh yeah, Zymo Punch. So this was a name of a company I created that builds software for craft beer. Haven't really pushed that much, but we're still working on some things. But it has, if you go to the page currently, you're gonna see that it just has a default GoDaddy's coming soon placeholder, and we gotta eventually we'll fix that. So what I'm gonna do now is mosey on over to my web server here. As you can see, I don't actually have a folder for Zymo Punch yet, so I'm gonna do that using GoDaddy's panel here, and actually have to do that in cPanel. So I know this is a little unexpected here. I forgot that I needed to do this, but hey, you might learn something here today. Let's just jump into cPanel here. And I believe it's domain names. I'm trying to find out where that is. Add-on domains. Here we'll just type in zymopunch.com. That's the domain. Zymo Punch. And then it just fills in the rest for you after that. Just add the domain. As you can see, it's going to put that in the public HTML folder. If I do a refresh, I should see this somewhere at the very bottom. Beautiful. So this is what we have to work with right now. Now I think if we go to the site, there's no HTML index file in there, so we're probably going to get like a forbidden message, and that's perfectly fine because we're going to move all the files over. Now, when you have the zipped file on your hard drive, I'm going to go ahead and open this. There's a bunch of files that make up WordPress. I actually I already had that there. So if we go in here, you're going to see all of these files, and there's thousands of files. You can't see them, but they all live inside of WordPress admin and WP includes, and there's more files in here as well. If I were to, I can easily grab all these files right here and just bring them onto the server, but I'm not going to do that just yet because when you're dealing with so many files, it takes quite some time. So what I am going to do is actually get the whole WordPress zip file and put that on the server, and that should only take a few minutes. As you can see, here's my little turning wheel right here, and it's done. Now, how do we unzip this on the server? That's the question. We can't just do a right click and do an unzip, unless maybe we can. I've never tried this before. Let's give it a shot. Now, see, it did that locally on my hard drive. That's not what I wanted. So, to fix that, I have to go into Terminal and use SSH. And this is how we get in. If you're not familiar with SSH, that's a separate tutorial all by itself. And it's not hard, really. What you're essentially is you're logging into your server via this command line. And for me, I'm using my credentials at this server right here. And of course, it's going to ask you for a password. Just type that right in. And so we need to go to the directory. So as remember, it was public_HTML/zymopunch.com. And if you ever want to find yourself, see where you're at, just type in a pwd and it will show you exactly the path in which folder you're in. And if I did a list, we'll see exactly what's in there. And we see that there is that CGI bin folder and the WordPress zip file. So all we're going to do here is just do unzip the WordPress file and let that roll until we see the command line pop up again. So it's deflating or expanding the files that are within this zip file, and it should only take seconds, maybe 30 seconds or so, as opposed to file transferring these things one at a time, folder per folder, file per file, and it's done. So if we do a refresh here, we should see all of the WordPress file. Now we need all of these files at the root of this folder, or at the base of this folder. So I'm just going to do this and drag it onto the link. It's going to bring me here, and then it's just going to move all the documents over. And so we are done. We can delete the WordPress folder and the zip file, and we can move on to the next. Okay, so we have to do a couple of things here. The first step is to connect to a database. So we have to go back to GoDaddy or your hosting company, whatever you use, and set up a database so WordPress can connect to it and create these tables that allow for all the data and all the information, essentially the database, the back end of the website. So what I'm going to do here is go over to GoDaddy. As you can see, I think we might see something like an error message. It wants to install. That's good, but the thing is we don't have a database for it just yet, and we'll probably end up getting an error message here. See, it's looking for a database, but it's not going to find one yet. So it needs all this information here. If I were to submit this, it's going to error out. So let's try again. So let's set that up. So cPanel, here we go. The easiest way is to go to Home in your cPanel. I actually have a couple of steps that I wanted to share with you about how to do this to kind of keep it secure. MySQL databases is where you want to go in cPanel. Okay, first off, you want to create a database name. Now, I know it's really easy to, hey, let's just put ZymoPunch for the database name, but I like to really keep my stuff secure, so I make up the most random database names, usernames, and of course the password is super secure. So I found this name maker. It just generates any name, and you can even tell what language and stuff you want it in. I just generate something completely random, so I can use this. If it helps that you want to remember it better, then you might create a name that's a little more relative, I guess, but I really don't care. I'd rather be more secure than anything else. So the first file we're going to edit here is this WordPress configure. This is the config file. You only have to do this once. You rarely have to come back to this file unless you're doing some specific things. And the way WordPress wants to do this is it wants to see the WordPress config file without the sample -sample on it. And so let's change the name to that. That's the working. It's there to show the people, anyone installing it. This is basically a sample page. You need to create the real config page, so you can either duplicate the file and rename it, or just change the name. So here it is. These are the things we need to focus on right here. The database name as we created, and so let's create that database. There's no real way of naming these things. You can do anything you want. Let's create a random user. Let's see if there's a random user generator. Apparently there is. We're not even really having it. Obviously this isn't a generator per se, but I'm just gonna grab any one of these and just use it. It's not a big deal. Okay, so right here we've created the database. This is it right here. The next thing we want to do is create the user. Okay, that's the user, and I'm gonna go ahead and bring it over here, just that way we have it there too. And then I also like to do a random password generator. I usually kick it up to about 32, take out all the symbols, generate a random password. And that goes there. Now the last thing you need to do is to get this information here and put a unique phrasing on it. There's a website right here that you need to copy and paste. Now I also wanted to mention, whenever you get a hosting package for WordPress from like GoDaddy or Bluehost, there's a lot of different people out there, Pressable, they'll set this up for you, but it's really important that you know what is going on in the background, because you need to make changes. You know where to look, essentially. So I'm going to leave that and just paste in that there. Everything else stays the same. If you read into this, I think this is just some type of security. I haven't really looked into why WordPress uses these phrases, but it has to do with the general security of it all. So I'm just going to hit save. Hit save here. I did the short hotkey for it. And now we should be good. I'm going to close some of these windows here and try and go back to the site and see what happens. Okay, I'm getting this weird message, but that's okay. Let's go ahead and put in the information that we have here. That's the database name, the username, and the password. I'm not sure, I've never seen this message before. I'm gonna clear the cache and just start over again. I'm getting a database error, that's amazing. I've never seen that. I'm gonna go ahead and duplicate. It wants to find that file. And there's probably some protocol behind all that, so I'm just gonna give it what it's looking for. And what I'm going to do is undo everything that I've done here, select it all, copy, and then put it all back. And since I duplicated it, it's going to have the non-default info in there, so I'm just deleting it and putting it right back as is, default. Okay, so let's go back and we'll redo that. For some reason it's not letting me. It's looking into this file right here and it's not letting me. It doesn't like what I put there. So we just kind of need to look out for a few things. Maybe I forgot a end quote or something. I'm not sure what's going on here. So let me just save over that one more time. Do refresh, clear my cache. Let's try Firefox. I'm getting that same message. Oh, you know, I haven't added a user. My bad. I haven't added the user and the password, so I have all this information here that it's not even in the system. Yeah. So let's create the user and the password for it. For some reason it's saying, oh, here's the password. I'm getting a very strong reading for the password. Great. Alright, so I created the user on the back end, and what I need to do last here is allow the user to access the database. So I'm going to go back and go to the very bottom, add user, this user to this database, and it's going to ask me what kind of privileges does this user have on the database. I'm going to use all of them. Okay, that should have fixed all the errors we're getting at this moment in time. And here we go. Continue. I just jumped ahead of myself. Here's where you can just name whatever you're doing with the site and create a user. I want to do Milo and a password. I'm actually going to go off screen with my password so you guys don't see what I'm putting. I will be back in a jiff. And you can also email the next before I hit everything, put your email in here and it'll send you credentials for login. And so I'm going to go ahead and put that password there. And then I'm going to hit install WordPress. The next screen you're going to see is a successful screen, or a success screen, and then you just log in. But before I log in, I'm actually going to go back to Chrome because it's my preferred browser. I'm going to go back here and do a refresh and see if we see the home page. Here it is. This is the front page of our new website, and you can log in by doing wp-admin. That takes you to the username and password login, and just use the credentials that we have here. It's taking its sweet time here. So I have one watcher. I have no idea who's there. Thank you for being there to test this out. It's pretty interesting. I dig it. I have no idea why this is taking so long. I'm gonna hit login one more time. Apparently it doesn't like what I put in there for login. I don't know what's going on, guys, so I'm gonna do forgot password. These types of things don't generally happen, but they will every now and again. And so I'm gonna go off screen with that. Yahoo. And I'm still waiting to hear back for the reset password. Now, I might have to check the spam folder on that. The ammo punch doesn't sound like anything real. Still haven't seen that just yet. That is quite the bizarre thing happening here. Okay, I got that email. Hitting reset here. And new password. Reset. Alright, now I think we can get this going. That should do it. I must have just typed it in wrong. Okay, so I go through a series of different plugins. Before I get too far, I'm going to talk to you about plugins, and I'm also going to talk to you about some Google supportive items such as Google Analytics and Google Search Console. But very first thing I want to do is just go ahead and update the Akismet anti-spam. This is a helpful tool plugin that basically filters out any spam or any Trojan virus horse things that are attacking the website. So it's really important that you get that going. I use it on all my sites. I usually just delete Hello Dolly. I don't need that for anything. And then I activate. So this is a free plugin. There's some steps that you need to take to actually get the free thing, the free key, the API key, and I'll show you some steps here. Get an API key here. It's gonna kind of go back and look at what you're doing, and it's gonna say, oh, it's for this website. Actually, yeah, I should just do it that way. So you have to basically set up an account with these guys. I already have the key. You can use that on multiple websites. Just go to plans and pricing and name your price. And all you really have to do is just set the price to 0. It's not letting me do this for some reason. Okay, well, whatever. I already have the key saved right there. That's what I use. So that's it for now. I'm gonna pause and redo this tomorrow, continue tomorrow rather, and we'll take it from there. Tomorrow we'll talk about plugins, Google analytical stuff, installing Yoast, installing Wordpress, installing a header and footer injector so you can put your code in, and I'll elaborate on that tomorrow. But thanks guys, and it's been a good 27 minutes, and we'll catch up mañana. Bye.